Hello, Star Trek fans. Welcome to ReBinge It. This is the ReBinge Star Trek Voyager podcast. My name is Kim.
And my name is James.
And we are rebinging Star Trek Voyager from the beginning, one episode at a time. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are on Season 4, Episode 6, The Raven. This episode aired October 8th, 1997. Before we talk about this one, anything to say about last week's episode, which was Revulsion?
There were some elements of that one which you really did not like, but I really liked it as a horror episode. Although I'm going to stick by my idea, they should have split that into two separate episodes. One with, Seven learning to be human and work with the Starfleet crew, and one really cool horror episode set on that ship with creepy hologram guy.
And they should have improved the way the Doctor got involved, and Harry should have not been in the episode.
Not Harry's greatest.
Not his greatest appearance, no. Why does it seem like it was 6 months ago when we recorded that? It feels so long ago.
Well, it's because we had to skip a week. We didn't record on our normal schedule, and that just throws everything off. Right.
And then we tried to do two this weekend, and that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm cat-sitting a friend's very cute, large, single brain-celled orange cat.
Yeah, he is very cute. The thing about Revulsion that I wanted to say is when I watched it the first time, I thought, wow, what a great episode.
Yeah.
And then when we got sort of talking about it, and I was just like, wait a minute, I didn't like this, I didn't like this. And then I ended up at neutral, and really that rating surprised me. I did not expect to get there because when I watched it, I was like, oh, yeah, it's pretty good.
Do you want to do my trick and reevaluate your rating later?
No, because I stand by what I said.
Yeah.
But sometimes when we talk about stuff, it does change our rating kind of as we go. It's usually the other way, though. It's usually more positive. But yeah, I don't know. I was kind of bummed out by some of the choices in that episode.
I also think some of the elements of that show didn't age well because of the way the world has changed since that was made.
Yeah. That's just a thing I guess we have to deal with a 30-year-old show.
Yeah.
All right, well, we probably should get started with this one.
I think so.
Quite a different tone.
Very.
Over to you.
We open with Janeway and Seven in the Da Vinci Studio holonovel, and Janeway is instructing Seven in sculpting clay, and it did not turn into the scene from Ghost, so I was quite disappointed.
Yeah, that's true.
Seven is sort of poking at the nose of the clay head, which is kind of funny, saying, "This activity is truly unproductive. The end result has no use. No necessary task has been accomplished." And Janeway has to explain, it helps her unwind and relax. The Seven finds this concept difficult to understand, as the Borg just work on one task and then move on to the next, describing it as efficient.
I fear I may have been a little bit like that as an art student as a child, which probably bummed my mom out as an art teacher. I mean, not always. I would enjoy some activities, but sometimes I would just be like, why are we doing this? And that just made me laugh to watch Seven sort of behave that way, especially when Janeway tells her, gives her some instructions about how to work on the nose, and she just, pokes. She doesn't really do it. She just pokes it, and then she's like, done.
Why are we doing this? Janeway continues, saying she gets a great deal of pleasure working the clay and taking herself out of the 24th century every now and then. She encourages Seven to try it sometime, saying it's a way of exploring aspects of herself that wouldn't have fit into the Borg lifestyle. But Seven really doesn't understand why these things would be necessary. Okay, I really kind of like this here because I felt this was the kind of, is therapy the right word? The right sort of introduction to how you should be trying to teach Seven to be human.
Right.
And I hope when they're off episode, this is the kind of rehabilitation that Seven's receiving.
Yeah, rather than her just standing in her alcove in Cargo Bay 2 all the time.
Yeah, waiting for...
everybody just hoping she turns into a human or whatever.
Right, with a few platitudes from Chakotay every now and then.
Right, and some awkward conversations with Harry. I wonder, though, if Janeway is sort of missing describing why pleasure is a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, she could even talk about it physiologically, about it causing positive neurons to fire in the brain. Give her something to hold on to.
Yeah.
This is why humans do this. Just saying this is good, this brings pleasure, that's not working for her. She reminds me a little bit of those, is it the Strange Planet cartoons?
Oh, yes. Yep.
Where she just sort of repeats things as she sees them. And, she's just describing them really clinically, which is quite funny, but that's sort of what she's like. And so maybe she just needs a little bit more depth.
Right. She behaves almost like a Vulcan, completely logically. So actually explaining why these things are important to a human, why they would help her with regaining stuff that she's lost. I think, that's an important piece of it.
Well, and maybe you have to be cautious. You don't want too much to come back to her all at once.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be difficult for her to process, but I could see the value in her spending time with all of the different species and the different people, different personalities and things on the ship. So she could sort of see the different things that go on, and she could decide where she fits in, where she feels comfortable.
I mean, you bring up an interesting question there. Maybe she could actually be the Vulcan that Michael could never be.
Well, maybe, because Michael went into being a Vulcan off of something really traumatic.
Yeah.
And whereas Seven, while it was traumatic at first, it just became her way of life for so long, right? For 20 years. So, that's interesting that, but also she had something, again, physiologically done to her with the implants and the hive mind.
Oh, that's true.
And the most Michael would have been
just the discipline,
mind melds, and the meditations, etc.
Right.
This reminds me too a little bit like when I was saying about maybe art class I was being similar. Imagine how Seven would feel about displays in historic locations when there's like dried fruit and the mannequins set up to show you what it would have looked like if there'd been people there. I cannot stand those things. I bet Seven and I would be the same.
And I love that stuff.
Yes. Well, it doesn't seem to irritate most people. I don't know why. I just find it like it's so phony.
Yeah.
So I could see, me standing there just going, inefficient, unacceptable.
This serves no useful purpose.
It serves no purpose. In fact, I probably have said that.
Back to Da Vinci Studio, and Seven looks at the shape of Da Vinci's flying machine, and she goes into a vision. She's surrounded by Borg, pushing her way past them as the Borg collective voice says, "You will be assimilated." And then she's being chased by a crow or a raven. The vision ends when Janeway asks, "What's wrong?" And Seven says, she doesn't know. And into the opening credits.
Yeah.
Did that not remind you of Data's dream with the bird flying around through the corridors?
Absolutely. That, and there's some stuff too at the end of this episode that reminds me of some things with Data too, yeah.
Okay, let's talk some more about this because I feel this is a great scene. First of all, this is so much better than those Bronte sisters period drama holo novels that Janeway was into. But at the same time, this is also one of those wonderful sanitized pieces of history that I could really see people in the future wanting to sort of take yourself out of the 24th century, but don't experience the poverty, disease, or other problems that existed in those times.
Mm-hmm. Misogyny, racism. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I find it kind of funny because I would totally see an enlightened society behaving that way. You sort of remove all the bad stuff and you end up with just the aesthetic rather than the reality of it.
Well, that is how we behave.
That's true. We do that
If you think about a show like Downton Abbey is a really good example.
Yes.
Because while the thing happened, that was in the show where aristocrats in England were marrying rich women from the United States to get money.
Yep.
What they missed out on was some of the really gross stuff that was actually happening too, like how the women who were coming from the U.S. and who were horrified at the lack of bathing that these men did and how much they just absolutely stank. We didn't cover that in Downton Abbey because nobody wants to see that and nobody wants to know about that. So we already do it.
And I think just to reiterate, I hope this is the kind of activity that is being given regularly to Seven to help acclimatize her to being a human.
Yeah, agreed. Rather than like the weird conversations with Harry or people trying to date her. That's so stupid. It's like you got to get this person on even ground first.
And I wonder if that also falls under the... I mean, I know we've talked about it. Certainly in the 90s, the lack of concern about mental health.
Yeah, because there's no therapist. Yeah.
Oh, you've had a traumatic experience? You know what? The best thing to do is just bury that experience and soldier on.
Spend some time in the holodeck.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. And then bury it deep, deep down.
Have you tried drinking?
Oh, no.
Cut to medical, and Seven explains the vision, telling the doctor it's happened 3 times, a series of disjointed images. The doctor ascribes this to possibly post-traumatic stress disorder. Wow.
Yeah, we didn't call it shell shock.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't just say, maybe it's a virus. Try drinking some liquids and resting.
Yeah, have some water.
Seven tells the doctor she was raised by the Borg. She doesn't see them as threatening.
You should.
I found that interesting because how are you actually really raised by the Borg?
Yeah.
They give you no individuality, and as far as we know, they just consider you to be a small version of a drone that gets bigger over time.
Well, they were there as she grew.
Yeah.
That's how they raised her.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You'd think in this moment, though, it would occur to somebody in this room that she would have had to fear them at least once as a child when they first appeared, when she first met them. But they don't even consider that maybe something somewhere along the way, there was a moment when she did fear them.
The doctor doesn't know if she'll continue to have these flashbacks, but he does clear her for eating solid food and makes a joke about inflicting Mr. Neelix's cooking on her. If she's not actually had to eat solid food, she won't know if Neelix's cooking is good or bad. It'll just be food.
That's true. I also find it funny that his diagnosis of PTSD is followed by, so let's just go ahead and test out your digestive system while you're having PTSD. I'm not sure that's a great idea.
That won't be stressful in the slightest.
No, what could go wrong?
Seven seems very uncomfortable about the uncertainty of all of this, saying, something is happening to me, but I don't know what it is.
Welcome to being a human.
I have to comment on this scene. I do think Jeri Ryan manages to, even just with the body language, play this character quite well, because she seems almost out of place, sort of awkward. And the line where she says, something's happening to me, but I don't know what it is, she gives off this sense that it really is unsettling for her.
Yeah.
I really like that. I mean, she really sort of sells it.
Yeah, like even in the way she moves,
Yes.
You can see that she's uncomfortable. Yeah, she's very good at that.
She might have just used her experience of wearing the impossible suit.
Right, because we should mention that she is finally out of that ridiculous shiny outfit, and now she is in sort of a brown cat suit. And I'm glad she's out of it, but also this thing is pretty ugly. It's not made terribly well. When you see the back of it, like the part at the top where the zipper comes all the way up to the collar, it's all uneven.
Oh.
And I was thinking, okay, I'm glad we got her out of that other thing, but this is not great.
It reminds me of Deanna's outfit from the first couple of seasons of TNG.
Yeah, I can see that. It's similar, although I think Deanna's maybe was a little bit better made. I think she only wears this exact one in this episode.
Oh.
I think it's even upgraded again, which is good. It's like they're trying to find what works that allows her to sit down, breathe, and act, but still show off the boobs. They got to do that. It's still important.
Janeway has to leave because they're engaging in negotiations with the Bomar, who she describes as difficult.
Yeah, jerky.
But touchingly tells Seven she'll help her through this. She'll be all right. Some great Janeway optimism here. Thinking about this right now, I'm wondering if part of the reason she finds this disturbing is considering Seven wouldn't ever have to worry about anything as a Borg. Everything is decided for you. You have no free will. And it sounds like the Borg are entirely task-focused. So now she's on her own. There's no voice in her head saying, be calm, it will be fine. This is nothing to worry about.
Yeah, her thoughts have never been her own before.
Right, yes.
And there's something in what you said about the tasks, because that's something that it's almost soothing to just go from task to task to task to task.
Right.
With no thought.
You don't have to worry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't have time to worry. And sometimes people who have a lot of anxiety, they'll just start doing things like that just so that they can think about something else, right?
Yeah.
Like the task in front of them.
And now if you're like having all this time and ability to think for yourself, all of a sudden it's like, I don't know what's happening.
There's nothing worse than too much time to think. That's what gets us all.
We now meet the Bomar, who are wearing some interestingly odd outfits that kind of almost look like patchwork jackets.
Burlap sacks.
And this metal frame headgear that in some ways looks like a football helmet face mask, but
Kind
without
of.
the helmet bit.
Yeah, and it goes out way out to the side, like they have Dumbo ears with the metal.
Yes.
And they have Ferengi noses. And then, yeah, these burlap sack outfits. This is not our best day in the costume department.
Do you remember the early Cardassian uniform where they had the headgear, where they first appeared?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. When Gul Dukat, who wasn't yet Gul Dukat, appeared on TNG.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right. When Gul Dukat was pretending to be somebody else.
Yeah, there's a similarity there. But the costumes are bad. Like, I feel like we just recently talked about really good costumes, like in the dinosaur episode and even in Displaced.
Right.
And then, like, what happened here?
Right. And the face mask thing.
Mhm.
The smaller guy on the left, his has like additional grid of metal squares on it.
Oh, right.
And on the side, the green colored glass
Yeah.
that looks like ears.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a sign of rank?
He's the least pleasant of the two
Yeah.
as well.
Like, I'm wondering, is this some sort of like a crown to show status within the society?
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. I mean, maybe.
In the negotiations with the Bomar, they are granting Voyager passage through their space, which Janeway is very happy about because it will knock 3 months off the journey. However, the Bomar immediately come off as like paranoid.
Yeah.
They're not allowing scans or talking to non-military craft, and have even plotted a course for Voyager, which is great because it's this crazy winding path going all over the place.
Yeah.
Tom points out this will take weeks to follow, and Chakotay like quietly says months.
Yeah, you'd think they'd want to go as fast as possible to get Voyager out of there, but this,
Right.
Their plan is crazy, and they also have to check in constantly.
Yes, 17 inspection checkpoints, and they're not allowed to go above warp 3, I think it was.
Like, just let us fly through. We won't talk to anyone.
What about letting Voyager through with an escort, surrounding them with an escort,
Oh, that's a good idea. Mm-hmm.
and then going as fast as possible to get through,
Yeah, that's the best solution. These guys are weird.
and charging them some kind of toll?
There you go. It's a toll road.
Yeah. So Janeway suggests perhaps they could negotiate a better course. And we cut to the mess hall, when Neelix is greeting Seven. Neelix explains to Seven how a good meal can be enjoyable, which Seven just describes as irrelevant.
Again, let's tell her why. Let's tell her why pleasure is good.
Yes.
Or even we could talk about taste buds. Like, let's describe that to her. Nope, we don't do that.
Right.
Like, make it scientific, and then she's more likely to listen.
I feel she needs some more coaching in basic being a human.
Yeah.
I do worry that at times it seems like their approach is just throw her in at the deep end, which is not a good approach dealing with someone who has come from long-term trauma.
Yeah, agreed.
Neelix is discussing what she could possibly eat and suggesting that he steam some vegetables for her, this chardre carb, and then he just stir-fries it.
Yes, he's like, stir-fried or steamed? Steamed would be better, so I'll stir-fry it.
Maybe this is what Talaxians call steaming.
I mean, you could have steamed it. We couldn't see in the pan. There
Yeah.
might be like a little grill in there that it sits on top of it to steam it. But if you watch what he does, it does not look like he is steaming.
Seven's social skills are on full display here, describing Neelix as Species 218 and telling him about how a freighter of 39 Talaxians were assimilated, and they made excellent drones.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Somebody really needs to tell her that talking about assimilation casually can really hamper her assimilation into this crew.
This is why you should be having socialization classes
Yeah.
with Seven.
Totally. Because she doesn't know.
Right.
Because, again, to her, the Borg are not scary.
I think that's
Yeah.
one of the really big aspects of this episode of, at this point in time, the Borg aren't scary because they were just the people who were around when she grew up.
Right. I do think here that Neelix handled this better than most would have.
Oh, yes. The way he sort of like just looks at her and then just carries on.
Yeah, he's like, okay, like that's information.
He just shrugs it off. I don't think most people would take that so well.
No.
Well, those people like a couple of weeks ago, they didn't take it well.
Oh, right.
And now, for possibly the first time ever, we see Seven sit down.
Yeah,
which was physically impossible in the silver catsuit.
Exactly. She finally can sit down. Although she does say something about the Borg don't usually sit. That did make me laugh. Like, yeah, they couldn't possibly sit in those really bulky outfits and tubes and everything everywhere.
Neelix sits with Seven as she eats for the first time. This is a little bit silly as Neelix talks her through eating and chewing.
Yeah.
If she has extensive knowledge of other races and assimilations, she should have the basic technical ideas of what eating is and how it's performed.
Yeah, I mean, they're being quite silly about that. I mean, if you don't ever eat, I question the state of your teeth. Wouldn't the teeth be irrelevant if they don't eat?
That's kind of a good point. Why would you even keep the teeth? Wouldn't you have the teeth just be absorbed by some Borg implant? Yeah,
I don't think Borg dental care is a thing.
Yeah, they have very poor dental insurance.
But that's a good example of something that we don't really want to know about that. We just need her to eat and move on.
Yeah, skip over that part.
Yeah, while she eats what looks like overcooked eggs.
It's better than sad melon.
Agreed.
But not as good as that awesome salad that B'Elanna had in, I can't remember which episode. As Seven sits, she suddenly has another vision of a screaming Borg, and we hear the crow again. Back at the table, we see something moving under Seven's skin, which emerges as a Borg implant.
Oh, right.
That's just like what happened on the side of Picard's cheek in First Contact.
Right.
I'm like, oh, nice touch.
Mm-hmm. And that would hurt like crap. I liked in her vision or hallucination when the sound of the raven comes out of the Borg that she sees. That was really cool.
Seven pushes Neelix to the floor and marches out, stating, "You will be assimilated. Resistance is futile."
Except she says futile. Someone needs to make her watch how they said it originally.
So was Neelix's food so bad that it triggered this vision?
Oh, maybe.
Back from the ad break, and senior staff are still struggling to negotiate with the Bomar, who are extraordinarily difficult and also very rude.
Mm-hmm.
Janeway is called to the bridge and tries to raise Seven, but she's not responding. Tuvok heads off to find her while they secure Deck 6. Back to Seven, and she's in a corridor seeing two Starfleet crew as Borg drones. That was actually quite a nice effect of the way they showed the two crewmen, and then all of a sudden, they're Borg.
Right. And she just kind of walks through them?
Right. Well, they try stunning Seven, but it's ineffective. Her Borg shields have reactivated.
That's not good.
Back on the bridge, question here, why are the Bomar allowed to just wander onto the bridge?
So my note says, these jerks do not need to be on the bridge. I'm pretty sure that's who I was referring to. They have no business being on the bridge.
It's not operations. You don't just let everybody wander in like they do in Deep Space Nine.
No, absolutely not.
Seeing as how these guys seem to be secretive and completely paranoid, you know they're covertly filming and scanning everything.
Oh, well, yeah.
They'll be like the Soviet ambassador in Dr. Strangelove, taking pictures of the big board.
Oh.
We now see Seven can also just walk through security force fields.
Yeah. It's like this whole thing again where nothing works.
Yeah.
Phasers don't work. Force fields don't work. We try to cut power to the turbo lift. That doesn't work.
Into overanalysis. So she has a technology that basically renders force fields inoperative. Shouldn't you be figuring out how that works to either counteract it or use that technology? Because if that's just built into her Borg implant, that would be a really useful trick.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes on here that it would be good if we just borrowed that technology.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, nothing's working to stop her, and Seven enters the armory, taking one of Janeway's big guns.
Oh, she's not going to like that.
Yeah. Tuvok now arrives with a security detail, and instead of just shooting when she leaves the turbo lift, gives her a lower your weapons and stand down speech. And I have to ask, why?
Well, also the weapons don't work, so what was shooting going to do? You need to throw a net over her, like a butterfly net or something.
Yeah.
We need to go analog, old school.
Right. Get the net.
Or we gas her.
Oh, neurocene gas is always a favorite.
I don't understand why we don't take advantage of this.
Just going to make a note here that if we sound completely different, it's because there was a week-long pause between that half you were listening to and the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
For reasons.
For reasons. And also, I even took a trip in the middle of it. So that's how different we are. I'm a whole trip different.
Whole new person.
Yeah. Yes, let's get back to the action.
Well, their weapons are useless against Seven, and following Starfleet standard protocol, the other two crew members just stand there waiting for Seven to shoot them.
Why do they do that?
At least Tuvok ducks behind a wall. Honestly, I have to question their training here.
Yeah. Remember in the episode, what was it, Worst Case Scenario, where the character that was Harry, I mean, granted it was on the holodeck, but still, he just like stood up and he goes, ah, and then he started shooting, and he immediately got shot. Like,
oh,
what?
That's right.
I'm starting to think that the officers are really just the ones who don't do that. That's why nobody else gets promoted, you know what I mean? They're the only ones who survive.
Yeah, everyone else is filtered out by just terrible tactics.
Yeah.
Straight power play.
Cisco.
I will note here that I guess to save on budget effects, we don't actually see Seven shoot the other two.
That's true. The camera stays on her and she points the gun at them. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like she fires and you just hear these two thuds off screen.
I love it when they do a thud off screen.
It's very effective.
It's so
and
funny.
Very funny.
Yep.
They continue to try and stop Seven getting to the shuttle bay, but for some reason, force fields now no longer work. She just walks straight through them. No explanation.
Of course.
Arriving at the shuttle bay, they manage to get a force field to work. Don't know why they suddenly started working again. But she uses a point-to-point transport to beam onto a shuttle.
Yeah, what's the point of a force field if you could just beam to the other side?
Yes. This should be part of your emergency procedures. Anything's going wrong, the first thing you do is shut down all transporters.
Yep. Yeah, we need a lockdown button. I don't understand why we've never developed that.
Yeah. Maybe even tell the transporter chiefs in each of the transporter rooms to actually physically remove something from them so you can override them. Because I suppose I could see Seven, because she is pretty skilled, override it somehow. But actually having like a physical block.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you beam out the electronics so it stops working.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You know, like people in the 80s used to remove the faceplate from their car radios.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's a flashback. Or you just flood the compartment with gas.
That is one of your favorites.
Yeah, I would gas everybody. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to kill anybody. No, I just want to knock them out.
I could see you if you're the captain. You would have a special button installed on your chair, like a flip-up button of like, do we need to gas people? I'm ready to gas them.
Yes, like one button per room. Oh my God, just press that button. Press that button. If she can beam herself in, why can't they beam her out?
Very good point.
I just hate it when we lose when nothing works because of reasons. It's just so dumb.
I guess, again, she is pretty smart. So maybe after she transported, she put up a dampening field.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's so convenient.
As I wave my hands.
I think you'd do better or maybe get away with it easier if you just made it happen really fast.
Oh, yeah.
But this is like a long drag until she actually gets out. If instead, she just immediately beamed herself to the shuttle and then just took off, then they could have been like, what just happened?
Oh, right. So she didn't mess around. No 7 in turbo lifts, shooting ensigns, just straight beams onto the shuttle and she's off.
Yeah.
Well, Seven's made it onto a shuttle. They try shutting the shuttle bay doors and Seven just shoots through them.
I did like that.
They can't use a tractor beam because she's remodulated the shield harmonics and she's masked her ion trail so they can't follow her.
The ion trail is really annoying because whenever the story needs them to not be able to follow someone, they just mask their ion trail. I would argue that you would just always do that if that was easy so that no one could ever follow you or track you. Yeah. So it's too convenient.
Agreed. It's a little bit of a story hand wave to make it convenient. And I'm going to add something else to the emergency list. Disable all shuttles.
Oh, yeah.
Again, somebody goes in and pulls a physical thing out of them.
Hide the keys.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Yeah, just hide the keys.
Beam the keys out into space. You can get them later.
Right. So Seven, taking off in the shuttle, pilots it into Bomar space. A classic Delta Quadrant hive of jerks. And we zoom in on a very concerned-looking Janeway. Back from the ad break, and Janeway wants to enter Bomar space to retrieve 7. But the Bomar delegation question her competence.
Oh.
And Janeway immediately jumps to kill on the annoyed scale.
Yeah. She's like, get off my ship.
I'll note here that the Bomar do make a little bit of a strategic mistake. Probably because they're arrogant as hell.
Yeah.
Chakotay asks how they would track, and they brag that every object and vessel can be traced by their perimeter grid.
Mm-hmm.
So Chakotay actually did do a good job of getting this information out of them. They just volunteered it. It's like if they'd shut up, they'd be like, we don't know how, we can speculate how they're figuring out where everything is. But now we know they have some kind of perimeter grid up. I thought that was actually quite smart of him.
I have to believe that Janeway is looking at their just tacky outfits and that stupid plastic thing over their heads and thinking, you morons, get off my ship. Why am I talking to you? And I have my doubts that their grid works because of this.
Yeah.
But if this is the best they can do for their clothes, then I'm not so sure that perimeter grid is really effective.
Yeah. Cut to Janeway recording a log, and they're searching 7's mini Borg cube in the cargo bay, and it looks like they've got everyone on this.
Yeah.
Harry's still acting weird about 7, and I think B'Elanna is enjoying him poking about how weird and uncomfortable he's being.
She definitely is.
They do, however, find a Borg data link, and Harry thinks he can decode it.
I don't think they should let Harry read her log, or her diary, basically.
My diary.
A little plastic lock on it.
Yeah. Last time she was a human, she was like an 11-year-old.
Right. I think she was 8.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Chakotay's giving Janeway a briefing and tells her that the Doctor thinks the problem could be her Borg nature is just winning out in the end. Janeway isn't convinced. Chakotay's being a total defeatist here.
Yeah. Janeway's just not interested.
They found no indication of Borg vessels for 40 light years, so she can't be just attempting to rejoin the collective. The Doctor's found the Borg nanoprobes have fully reactivated and have begun regenerating implants he removed in a matter of hours. He doesn't know what reactivated them, but he has developed a method to neutralize this. Some kind of DNA resequencer, but it has to be delivered at close range. Basically, it's a hypospray.
So, did he just invent a vaccine for assimilation?
Yes.
Do we ever talk about this again?
About what, sorry?
Yeah.
Yes. He's developed a method of basically neutralizing Borg technology when it's in the bloodstream and stopping it from taking over. And it's never used again. We never talk about it again. Maybe you could argue that the Borg would adapt to it, but if you're actually neutralizing it at the nanobot level, then how could they adapt to it?
Yeah, it's a good question. He complains at one point about not being able to write a paper about some discovery he had. Do you think that he just failed to document things because he thought it was pointless?
He wasn't really interested in this. I stopped the ability for the Borg to assimilate people, but it wasn't very interesting.
No, I think it's more nobody's going to read this paper.
I do think this is probably one of those classic Star Trek, the super weapon, the ultra powerful race, whatever.
Yeah, too powerful, yeah.
You reach a point where it's like, okay, you've now basically taken away the most frightening thing about the Borg, and you have to back off.
Yeah, or maybe we could headcanon it by saying it only worked on 7's DNA or, and he would have to sequence it to every person individually.
Oh,
it wasn't something that worked generically.
Excellent catch.
Oh, thank you.
It's a tailored, it's a tailored vaccine that only works on her and only on that particular version of nanoprobes that are in her.
And only on Tuesdays.
Yes.
Yeah. I found a hole and I filled it, so okay.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
On the bridge, Tuvok and Tom have figured out how to get past the Bomar scanning grid, but only in a shuttle. Janeway sends Tuvok and Tom to find 7, and he raises the concern she may adapt to the resequencing, and Janeway drops the bombshell. If Tuvok is unable to reason with 7, he's authorized to stop her with any force necessary. I liked Janeway here so much. She seems so disappointed in having to give this order. She's really kind of steely. You can see she doesn't want to do it, but she has to.
Yeah. But why? Because of damage that she could cause that would tick off these aliens?
Yes, literally. I think it's because if Seven ends up in Bomar space, causing havoc, killing members of the Bomar.
I see. Okay.
That's very irresponsible. And
Yeah.
I think Janeway her hand is forced.
Okay. Because ultimately I'm like, why? Why would we need to kill her? But then that makes sense. Yeah, she could be putting the whole ship in jeopardy.
And potentially she might attract the Borg against the Bomar.
She might, yeah. But as we've seen, Janeway really only cares about Voyager.
Yeah. But I really liked the way Mulgrew played that. There was great body language from her, and it was another one of those, this is the burden of command.
Yeah, that was a good dramatic moment.
In the stolen shuttle, Seven is having more flashbacks of two Borg approaching her as she appears to be hiding under what looks like a command chair or behind a command chair. And we hear the bird screeching again. The vision is interrupted by an armada of 16 Bomar ships in her path. And I paused it to count them.
Okay.
Back from a dramatic ad break, and apparently during the ad break, 3 of the Bomar ships seem to have noped out of there, because I could only count 13 after the ad break.
They were just off camera.
Oh.
They were still there. Because they formed a perimeter or something. I don't know.
Okay. They were behind her.
Yeah, exactly.
The Bomar call for her to surrender, but she's having none of that. Just going straight into a fight and using the most interesting tactic of firing phasers, then ramming the Bomar ships.
She manages to damage like 5 of them and get away. I mean, how in a shuttle did she defeat these clowns who are supposedly so superior?
Right. I thought was really fascinating because it didn't cause her any damage. And Tuvok basically reports that there's been weapons fire and 5 Bomar vessels are heavily damaged.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what happened to the other 8 or 11 Bomar ships. Did they not feel like getting in the fight? Are they standing off and just telling their commanding officer, phasers jammed, sorry, couldn't follow?
It was just another one of those scenes where she had to get through. And they should have just had one ship or something that she ran into. But yeah.
Or had her disable all of them. That would have been something.
That would have made more sense, I guess. But how would she have done that?
The same kind of technique of like staying close to the other Bomar ships, ramming them.
Oh, just do it with all of them. Yeah, I get you.
Tom and Tuvok managed to catch up with Seven, but they can't transport because of her Borg implants.
Oh, sure.
I will accept that one, though.
Mm-hmm.
The implants are active again. So the plan is, Tuvok is going to beam across to her shuttle, and he believes the element of surprise will work in his favor.
Sometimes, Tuvok.
Beaming across. This is a colossal failure, as Seven's actually ready for him and disables Tuvok immediately.
Sometimes his plans are so terrible.
Yes. Seven then shoots at Tom's shuttle, totally disabling it.
Did you notice that she called him Lieutenant instead of Lieutenant Commander?
No, I didn't notice that.
I think she wasn't invited to the promotion ceremony.
Oh, well, probably.
So she wasn't aware.
Leave her in the cargo bay. We don't need to socialize her. Now in Seven's shuttle, Tuvok asks her why she left. She tells him because she is Borg. Tuvok tries talking to her, but she says she was human for a while, but she has come to realize she is Borg and she will always be Borg. Continuing, she explains how she picked up a Borg homing signal. A Borg vessel is waiting for her. When this is all over, I think they need to find what this homing signal is and how to detect it. Because Tuvok said earlier, they scanned this whole area of space and detected nothing. Well, apparently, your scanning wasn't very effective.
Yeah, because it missed this signal that she is picking up. And it was also from a Federation ship, by the way. They certainly should have been able to pick that up.
Did somebody just check the box of, have you scanned? Yeah.
It's interesting to me when she says, I was human for a little bit, but I've realized I'm just Borg, right? It's interesting if you think about it sort of from a mental health perspective. It's maybe something you would go through even as part of a depression or a lot of anxiety that you were going through, or I'm sure other crises where you feel like you're getting better and you have a setback and you're just like, no, I'm just always going to be like this. And that's what that reminded me of.
Oh.
Like there's no way out of this depression. I'm always going to be depressed because you had a setback.
Yeah. I tried, but it's got worse.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That really hurt me when she said that. I was like, oh, that's terrible.
That is terrible for Seven.
Yeah.
Seven now tells Tuvok he will be assimilated. And then she seems surprised, saying, "No, you will not be assimilated. You will return to Voyager and thank Janeway for her patience and kindness."
That was a surprise.
Wow. Yes. Did not see that. That is very un-Borg.
Yeah.
Tuvok calls his behavior curious, saying it shows affection and sentiment, not Borg behavior. We do see that Seven seems strangely confused by all of this, and really not so Borgishly self-confident. And she jumps into another vision, telling Tuvok she can hear them calling. He tries to convince her to lower the force field and return to Voyager, but she seems to click back into Borg, telling him, "I must rejoin the collective." So, very well acted scene by Jeri.
Mm-hmm.
She really gets this character. And the way she seems so confused by it. She's like super Borg one moment, really confident. And then all of a sudden she's like, "No, I'm not going to assimilate you. You're going to go home and thank Janeway." It's so out of Borg character. So you can see the human side is still there.
Star Trek is such an interesting combination of kind of mediocre actors and just amazing actors. I suppose that's kind of the makeup in general of, the acting community. It's just like any work community where you have your stars and you have, the people who are just fine at it. And for the most part in Star Trek, it's the captains. And they've gone out of their way to get great actors into the captain's chair. And I think that's important. It's not, there's at least one captain who I think you and I both agree is not great, but that's beside the point. But it's usually the captain who's great. And then there are, you end up with sort of little wins here and there with the different actors who happen to also be great. And we said this at the beginning of the season, but they lucked out with Jeri Ryan.
Completely.
She is, I think, so much better than they thought she was going to be, when they were trying to focus on the sort of sex appeal of her. But she is just, from the beginning, she shows how good she is, and she only gets better. And I think if you come into this and you sort of watch the stilted way that she talks, and if you don't know Star Trek and you're not familiar with it, because we've experienced where other people have just sort of dropped in and watched it and gone, "Well, she can't act." It's like, you are so missing the point of what she's trying to do. And she does it with perfection. It's like Data. So if you watch Brent Spiner and you didn't understand what he was, the way he was acting would also seem strange. But no, he's actually brilliant at it. And in the same way here, Jeri Ryan is she's such a standout.
That's a good point.
And she just saves this character in so many ways.
That's a really good comparison. I didn't really think about that, of her and Brent Spiner doing very similar things. You watch Data when he's first appearing, and it really is sort of like, why is he so stilted? It's the character.
And it's a little like Hot Spock. So if you watch Strange New Worlds, where we are in our recording cycle, we just watched the one where the 4.5 Vulcan episode. And so a bunch of them are trying to act like Vulcans. But no matter how hard they all try, none of them are as good at it as Ethan Peck. Now, granted, he's done it a lot more, but it's almost like they're all trying to imitate him, and they're not good at it. There's at least one of them who is terrible at it. But it does show, right, that he's the one who's got the skill. But if you didn't realize what he was doing as a Vulcan, it might seem strange.
Agreed.
But it's actually perfect.
Well, I got to give a shout out for Patton Oswalt. He played a great Vulcan in that.
He's pretty good, yeah. If you didn't watch the after credits scene, because like us, you turned it off and then somebody on Threads told you about it, so you went back and watched it. It's actually just a cute little scene. You should go back and watch it.
On Voyager, Janeway's log reports they're no closer to understanding what happened. And it's weird that Janeway is just hanging out in Seven's regeneration alcove.
Yeah, and it's funny that somehow the little head thing is right behind her when she stands there, where she's standing on a box or something, because she is not the same height.
Well, Harry's decoded Seven's personal log. He seems a little embarrassed that Seven describes his behavior as predictable. That was funny.
Well, it is predictable.
Harry continues, saying she recorded a log of her hallucinations and how she's sometimes in a Borg vessel, hiding behind a bulkhead, or falling down a shaft with Borg chasing her. Janeway reads the description of the black bird Seven describes, saying it fills her with fear. And Janeway figures out Seven means a raven, telling Harry, now she knows what to look for.
What does she know to look for?
Well, they haven't told us yet.
Did she know the name of the ship was the Raven?
Yep.
Oh.
On the bridge, she orders scanning for any Federation signatures and tells Helm to set course for Bomar space. And why wouldn't you scan for Federation signatures just as a matter of course?
Always, yeah. Well, I think we've talked about stuff like that before. It might take up unnecessary resources when you've sort of given up at this point of finding anything about the Federation in this quadrant.
Okay, I would accept that. If it's very unlikely the Federation's out there, why expend a huge amount of energy just doing a full scan?
Maybe as you get closer to the Alpha Quadrant, you would start doing it more.
Maybe actually as well. Maybe some of the scanning is active, like sonar or radar, that they actually send out a signal and wait for a return. So if there's somebody unpleasant, like the Borg, hanging out, they can go, oh, look, we've received a ping from a Federation ping. Let's go and assimilate them. So it's, you know, it's the classic thing like with radar of when you're sending out a signal, it means that somebody else who can detect it can find where you are.
Okay.
Back to the shuttle, and Seven reports the Borg signal is coming from the surface of a moon. Tuvok convinces her to lower the force field, and he will accompany her to the source. She warns he will be assimilated, but cryptically, Tuvok replies, I think the situation is not what it appears.
Yeah.
Seven says she is fearful, and she doesn't understand why, as the Borg are her people.
Right.
And then she just brushes it off, saying, it'll disappear when I'm reintegrated into the collective.
Yeah. I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah. That was really interesting. I think what they're showing is she's still more human than Borg. Well, Tom got his shuttle working again and has tracked Tuvok to the moon. He has picked up an erratic resonance signal from the surface, and Janeway is on the way. On the surface, Seven and Tuvok are following the signal, and I'll note Tuvok keeps on suggesting that they return to the shuttle, and then they find it. A partially assimilated Federation vessel that's been there for 20 years. On board the ruined ship, Seven states the vessel is familiar and finds the homing signal, and then into a flashback. And we see a man and woman being dragged away by the Borg, and they shout, "Run, Annika." Seven seems deeply disturbed by this, stepping away from the console and saying, "Papa, help me," and then climbing under the console as if to hide, as she sees a small girl shouting no. Tuvok takes her arm and Seven tells him, "It was here. This is where I was assimilated. This was our ship." And she uncovers the nameplate, the Raven.
Big drama. This again is sort of what we were talking about earlier, where there was obviously some fear at the moment of assimilation. So you did fear them once.
Right.
It's just you learned later. What is that, like Stockholm Syndrome? You became part of it.
Oh, well, it was all suppressed. Yeah.
Although I read a whole thing that said Stockholm Syndrome is not a real thing. I have no idea why this is in my notes, but she, in one of her sort of flashbacks to what she did in her life on the ship, she remembers having birthdays there.
Yes.
Or maybe she says she remembers having birthdays there.
She does.
It reminds me of when I had to have so many birthdays as a kid in our stupid camper. Because my birthday's in the summer, and we were always in the stupid camper in the summer. And then I had to share my birthday with my brother. And as the younger sibling, that is not cool. You do not like that. And it just reminded me of that. It's like she had to have her birthdays on this stupid shuttle. And I had to have mine in this stupid camper.
Oh, wow.
Probably one of the reasons why I will not go camping as an adult.
Yeah, you're not a camper.
No. Now if we travel on my birthday, we're staying in nice hotels.
Seven tells Tuvok this is where they lived, and how her father's experiments were important. She remembers birthdays, and then how the men came. And she pauses and says, "And then I became Borg."
Yep.
Tuvok determines that the Borg resonance signal, the homing beacon, must have been activated since the ship was assimilated, and Voyager passed within its range. They're interrupted by the B'omar opening fire on the ship from orbit, and Seven and Tuvok struggle to escape as everything starts falling apart, because the ship is kind of trashed.
Yeah.
It is cool how you see it, like, perched on... Of course, it has to be perched on the edge of a cliff.
Of course. In
orbit, we get an FX shot of 3 B'omar ships firing as Voyager rocks up, just dwarfing them, and Janeway orders targeting of their weapon systems. The B'omar hail Janeway, describing her actions as an act of war and warning more ships are on the way. Pretty brave call there. Threatening Janeway when she can blow you out of the sky without a care in the world.
Yeah, she does not care.
On the surface, Tuvok and Seven manage to push the debris out the way and escape the stricken ship. And as they leave, we see on the side, SS Raven, NAR 32450. And I really couldn't see the last digit there. I had to look that one up.
Okay. Do I need to know this information?
Oh, absolutely. It's very important.
Okay.
They escape just in time as the ship falls off the cliff, and Tom beams Tuvok and Seven aboard.
Yep. Just in the nick of time.
On Voyager, Harry detects more Bomar ships incoming, and they head out at Warp 8. Run away!
Run away!
Back to the Da Vinci holoprogram. And Janeway informs Seven the Doctor can adjust one of her implants so she won't receive homing signals anymore.
I think that would be wise.
Yeah. Seven tells Janeway she finds herself constructing scenarios, alternative possibilities. If they'd not encountered the Borg, she would have been raised by her parents and learned from them. That would have influenced what she became. Janeway tells her there's information in the Federation database if she wants to know more about her parents. They were well known for being unconventional and quite unique in their scientific theories. She might like to read about them. It may encourage her imagination. Seven replies that perhaps she will, someday, then bids the captain goodnight and leaves.
Yeah, let's not get carried away. We've had a difficult day.
Yes, I'm not going to read traumatizing information.
Mm-hmm.
The end.
Well, we lost another shuttle.
Oh, gosh, yeah, they left it. Well, okay, you've said this before. Maybe they beamed the other shuttle aboard. They might have beamed it up. Because there was nothing wrong with that shuttle.
That's true. They might have just beamed it up. Okay, yeah, let's assume they did.
Otherwise, we're on shuttle number 147 or whatever we're up to.
Well, they just make another one, yeah. All right, what is your overt analysis?
Okay, my first one is, I think at this point, you would have to be asking yourself, either as the captain or the Doctor, how much other tricky Borg stuff is hidden in all those implants or somewhere within Seven's body that you haven't found yet?
Yeah. And you have no way of knowing.
Yeah.
It's that sort of hidden code that you're just unaware of.
Exactly. Yeah. Is it so well hidden that you scan it and you can't find it?
Yeah, because you might not be able to detect it in any way, right? They're just...
Right.
Because if it's not running until something activates it, then there could be all kinds of things. Like there could be something that activates when she gets injured or when she gets hit by a certain type of radiation or when she's low on oxygen, right? There just might be things that just start running and start reasserting themselves.
Yeah.
I guess you couldn't do that forever just for the story, but I think, well, I was going to say realistically, but nothing about this is realistic.
A Borg trigger word.
Oh, geez. Like scorpion. She has a new trigger word and it's scorpion.
Yes.
The last time somebody said that, she was really impacted.
So maybe Seven herself could be researching this. Next thing. Considering one shuttle piloted by Seven managed to take out, 5 Bomar ships.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing the Bomar are significantly far less technically advanced.
Yeah. I mean, they have to be.
Yeah. In which case, why do you care necessarily what they think about you flying through their space?
Well, in numbers, they're probably dangerous. And also, it's not really the way for Starfleet to just impose themselves into somebody's space when they don't want them there. So I think she's following the Starfleet protocol.
Being diplomatic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Leading on from that, I was thinking, because they are a warp-capable species, they could trade them some minor technology to get a more friendly approach. But then again, I suppose they do seem a little bit jerky and full of themselves.
Yeah. They may have asked for something she wasn't willing to give.
Yeah, exactly. They would have gone straight for, we want Warp 9 technology.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they started there. Because they're not the story. They were just an obstacle for the story. Yeah.
That's true, yeah. You know, they had that really weird path they wanted to go through and 19 inspection points?
Yeah.
These people are going to ambush you and try to steal your stuff.
Yep.
They look far too much like Cardassians for me to trust them.
Yes.
And my final note on this topic is, Janeway says, looks like there won't be any shortcuts this time. So I assume they are going to just avoid Bomar space then.
Yeah, it sounded like they were going to get out of it as quickly as possible and not go back in, yeah.
Next thing. I'm really disappointed with the resocialization of Seven. I don't think they're working hard enough.
No, I agree. We've talked about it a few times, but she's got to spend less time in that cargo bay. I guess now that she has to eat, she will at least have to go to the mess hall, at least to get the food, unless, she does that thing where she takes her plate back to her desk or her alcove. But hopefully not.
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, there's probably a challenge within the crew to convince them that they should socialize with her, because they probably still fear her a bit. I mean, look what's happened. A couple of times she's tried to either take over the ship or get away. So there's probably a lot of hesitation, and that's likely why the captain is the one who is trying to socialize her.
Yeah. There's at least, was there 4 people she phasered in this episode? Or was it only 2?
Yeah, exactly. And there's, I'm sure B'Elanna and Harry still have the scars from before, and she knocked out some other security guard.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So,
she threw Harry at him. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they're probably all a bit tentative.
Yeah.
I don't blame them.
True. Next thing. I have a lot of very Borg-heavy questions here. Did Picard ever really have all the Borg tech purged from his system? Excluding the events that happened in Picard Season 3. I'm thinking of like the low-level tech, the stuff that's obviously stuck within 7.
Yeah. Well, I would say 2 things. Probably not, because he still hears them calling.
Oh, very good point. Yes. Still hears their song.
Right. But also, it's quite different in that he was assimilated as an adult for a pretty short amount of time, whereas 7 was assimilated as a child. And so those things either grew with her or were constantly replaced with her. But as things happened, as they assimilated others and as they gathered new technology that they were stealing from others, they were probably adding more. So she probably had significantly more. And ultimately, it's a time difference.
Yeah. So, okay. So she has had 20 years of additional implants and stuff coming in, whereas Picard was like days or hours.
It's like how your bones will grow around things.
Yeah.
And so as she grew, I imagine her bones probably grew around some of the implants and they became part of her and cannot be removed. Yeah. Whereas, I mean, Picard, it was from the end of season 1 or that season to the beginning of the next season. So it was a few months.
It's a few months, yeah.
But really, in the story, it was a few days, I think. Yeah.
Okay. So, Picard could potentially have it effectively removed, but 7, or majority of it removed, where 7 still has the risk of Borg booby traps that could pop up at any point.
That's a good pun for 7.
Next thing. Borg shield technology. Why are they not studying this and everybody getting whatever implant turns on the Borg shield technology? This is an amazing technology. It works on an individual level. It's self-powered, apparently.
Yeah.
This would be a game changer.
Yeah. I have to say that was too far because so many of her implants had been removed. Yeah. And I had always assumed that the suit also had some things that it was able to do. But if it's just somehow from inside of her...
from like the nanotech that's floating around in her blood and it's self-powered, that is, again...
too far.
Yeah, right. Otherwise, everyone should be getting this. Next thing.
Okay.
I've got a lot in this one. The Starfleet Tactical Combat. Is their main method in training a stand there and wait to get shot?
I can only imagine they get sloppy because they just don't run into it that much, especially on the ship. But we don't see it as much in the more modern Trek.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's a silly television of the 90s and before thing.
Yeah. Script says stand there and get shot.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's not a lot to hide behind when you're in just the hallway on the ship, but like Tuvok jumped behind a corner, or you could at least duck and roll, try to move around or something. But to just stand there and hold your phaser out with your arm straight and fire.
It's like Harry standing at the console.
Yeah, just going, ah! Oh, thanks for shouting. I couldn't see you there. Bang.
And my final point is, the Bomar could be a pretty good cosplay.
I disagree.
About 3 people would get it.
It would be very niche. You know who would get it? The good Aaron.
Oh,
he would get it.
Yeah.
Because everybody who made Prodigy obviously studied Voyager to the nth degree.
He would get it.
I'm not sure anybody else would. And I don't agree it's a great cosplay because the costumes themselves are bad.
That, I think, would be part of it.
It would stand out.
Yeah.
But that would be quite niche. You'd be telling everybody, oh, this is from season 4.
Episode 5,
4. Or episode 5, whatever episode we're in. Actually, I think we're in episode 6.
Hey, I once chatted with a cosplayer who was wearing a character who appeared in like 3 frames of this montage.
Yeah.
And she dressed up as one of the characters in the montage scene. It was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. I get that. Some people are really into that.
And that, I think, wraps up my overanalysis. Over to you.
Some of the things in my overanalysis we already answered.
Yeah.
Like, I was wondering what was sending the homing beacon, but it was actually a Borg signal being sent from
the partially assimilated ship. Yeah.
Partially assimilated ship. So I think we got that. And then I said, lost another shuttle, but we already talked about that because we didn't have to. We could have beamed it up.
We beamed it up.
Yep. So the last thing I had is just sort of this funny note. It just says, she must be incredibly confused is what I have.
Yeah.
And I think what I mean by that is the character of 7 of 9 must just be incredibly confused because there's obviously a part of her that does want to be human. I mean, it wasn't there before, but Janeway has brought it out, and they brought it out by removing so many of the implants. And then to have them start reasserting themselves and for her to feel that draw again of the Borg, it's not like you forget that. So in the same way that she was having the flashbacks to when she was a child, she just wasn't connecting that that's what the flashbacks were about. She must also be constantly having flashbacks about, yes, things that happened while she was a Borg, but I mean things that happened just recently. So is she now just coping with how she was feeling during this time when she was trying to get away and get to that homing beacon? And yes, she shot some of her crewmates.
Oh, right.
And, you know, disobeyed orders and whatever and took off. And then she was clearly so conflicted when she was talking to Tuvok. So she's just got to be a mess.
That great bit in the shuttle where she says how she's feeling afraid and not understanding why.
And doesn't know why. Yeah. She needs some therapy.
Right. And then the piece, I thought that was great when she's talking to Tuvok and saying, no, you'll return and thank Janeway. That's so, like I say, it's so un-Borg, must be so confusing. Why is she feeling the need to do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So much counseling would be needed.
Yeah. And even amongst the crew of what she's causing, because there was Neelix, right? We talked about him being a real grown-up in this episode and really handling her well and not overreacting, understanding that she's in a strange headspace.
Right.
But he too now has been a victim of her. So she's kind of wreaking havoc amongst her crewmates. So I would think it would be hard to just sort of drop her into these social situations because people are going, are you going to go crazy and try to kill me?
And this is where I feel you almost need the coach. Janeway assigning someone to help 7 in the social interactions. You're kind of having to, almost like your comment was Data.
Yeah, it's similar.
But Data had that programming, whereas she's analog, as it were. She's a human trying to relearn how to be human.
Right. But I think they have to face that a lot in Trek, and I guess their solution is just to drop them into the deep end of the pool and let them figure it out. Maybe because they think, well, everybody on this ship is evolved. I mean, they're not consciously thinking that, but maybe that's why it doesn't occur to them that they have to handhold in certain situations because everybody should be able to handle it in the same way.
Oh, right. Because you've had a lifetime as an adult of the correct ways to behave, how to be a better human. So your thought would be, well, everybody's going to behave that way. Right.
That's what I'm kind of wondering. But it's just such a common thing that we do on Trek, because even if we think about Spock trying to figure out how to navigate humanity and Data certainly as well. But anytime we introduce an alien character.
That's what happened to Michael in Discovery. Dropped us straight into a human ship.
Yeah, and she'd essentially been raised as a Vulcan. Yeah. But she wasn't really able to do either one of those things well because she wasn't a Vulcan. So she was sort of constantly fighting her nature, but because she hadn't been fully raised by humans, she didn't really always know the human way to behave either. So she was quite a mess, Her journey was something I really liked in those first couple of seasons, and a lot of people just didn't understand that was part of the story, was her evolution from the sort of faux Vulcan to human. But I really like that. I did write down that we get an eye roll from Janeway in this episode, but I can't remember where now, because now it's been so long since we watched the episode, but I know there was one colossal eye roll from her. Let me go to women in the future, and it's nice that 7 at least now has an outfit she can sit in.
Yeah.
but it's still just absolutely skin tight. And I'm sure out in her life outside of set, she's unable to eat anything. But at the very least, this outfit is better than the last one. She looks like she can breathe.
Can't go to craft services.
Yeah, I don't think she's eaten anything. Maybe she's eating rice cakes at craft services, but which is just crunchy air. In Janeway's leadership corner, I like that she respected the aliens and she didn't defy them, right? Even though she kicked them off the ship when they went too far. And she was willing to do what the captains always are willing to do, which is to violate a rule to save the crew, which a member of the crew, which she did.
Textbook.
And then she got out of there quickly and just accepted that they're going to have to go the long way around. And I did think that was pretty good. And I know you thought it was strange that she was sort of hanging out in the cargo bay, but I can see why she was doing that, kind of in the same way that she likes to go to her Da Vinci program to clear her head. I think she's a person who likes to be in a space to either jog creative thought or come up with some ideas, because she was thinking maybe she would see what she would get a clue as to what Seven was experiencing if she spent some time in there, and that would help her unlock what the problem was. So
that's a good take.
I kind of like that, and I think Tuvok showed some great leadership in this episode. Even though he's a security officer, he was not trying to take Seven forcibly. Yeah. I mean, the plan was to get there and give her that shot, give her the vaccine. But when that didn't work, he turned to more of the Starfleet way and started trying to talk her out of it. And I thought he did a really good job. And I think this really establishes a good relationship between the two of them. Because I think Seven now can see it's not just Janeway, right? It's the leaders.
It's Tuvok as well.
On this ship. Yeah, it's also Tuvok. And, maybe she'll learn over time the other officers, too, are people she can rely on.
So there was two great bits with Tuvok where he says to her, basically, I don't think this is the situation you think it is. I mean, he's figuring out this isn't just a Borg ship calling to her. There's something else happening here.
Yeah.
And then when they're traveling and he is constantly saying, you sure you don't want to return to the ship? We should return to the ship and go back to Voyager.
Since we're in Leadership Corner, I'll just add a little bit more leadership color, because this is the thing I like to talk about, the thing I obsess about. I've frequently had conversations about how it's not just the boss that's the leader. Yeah. Everybody has the ability to show leadership. In fact, you show it whether you want to or not if somebody else can see you or hear you, right? If somebody else is working around you, they take cues from you, especially if they're new to the situation. So if you're a total jerk, that person is like, oh, that's how we are in this situation. So I think that it needs to be shown by everybody to Seven that she's a part of that community. But maybe the other point I'm trying to make is that it's really important that everybody who's a member of that senior crew, that they operate as a team and that they know what's right and that they know what is the leadership thing to do, the good leadership thing to do, so that they're all behaving kind of in a similar fashion to Seven, but also to the whole crew. That's why I think it's really good that Seven now can see that it's not just Janeway who is offering her the stability, right, and the trust. It's also other members of the senior crew. So I just think that's a cool part of leadership.
It's a consistency of message or consistency of behavior.
Well, I guess it's time for rating. Thumbs up, thumbs down, or neutral. What is your rating?
2 thumbs up. This is a great episode. It works well on so many levels. We've got a good sci-fi story. We've got some space battles. We've got Borg. We've got Seven struggling with her humanity or Borgality. Borgality, yeah. Sure. Tuvok being fantastic, as well as Seven showing she really gets this character. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Still great. Absolute thumbs up. Loved it.
Yeah, I agree. Thumbs up. This is a great episode. The performances are great.
Yep.
And it's a Seven story. I would say there are equal parts Seven and equal parts Janeway. Mm-hmm. And we talked about this a while ago, but the chemistry between the two of them, and not just the actors themselves, but the chemistry between the characters is so good. Yeah. And it makes so much sense that this was really cool because we got Seven off the ship, but we had Janeway in her alcove trying to understand what was going on. And I thought that was great. So yeah, there's the usual sort of goofy Star Trek stuff here where, for some reason the transporters don't work. Oh, geez, I guess the tractor beam doesn't work. It's just, okay. But that's a Star Trek thing, and you sort of have to get used to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Thumbs up. Great. Well, that wraps up Season 4, Episode 6. Come back next week for Episode 7. In the meantime, if you'd like to send us your own overanalysis of this or any episode, or if you just want to say something nice, you can email us at rebingeit@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us on the socials. We are on Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, and YouTube at ReBingeeit. Or you can join the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Star Trek TTM podcasts.
Thanks for joining us on the ReBinge Star Trek Voyager podcast.
That's it for me.
And that's it from me.